You all set, Jeff?
You're good, John. Yeah, go ahead.
I should have asked you first.
Yeah, no.
Okay, this Town of Adams Board of Selectmen's workshop is now in session, Wednesday, May 26th, 2021. This meeting is using Zoom. I have some government information to read, as we have been doing for every meeting, so I'll read the required information for the governor's order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Laws 30A18, and the governor's orders imposing limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Town of Adams, or this workshop of the Town of Adams Board of Selectmen, is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public has been permitted, but every effort has been made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the governor's order. Because all members are in attendance, votes do not need to be taken by roll call. So all 5 members of the Board of Selectmen are in attendance for this workshop, and I will list their names. To my right, Vice Chairman Hoyt, Joe Novak. To my left, Howard Rosenberg and Rick Blanchard. Also in the room is Town Administrator Julia Green, Admin Assistant Deb Dunlop, and I want to make sure I get his title correct here. Forest Warden, we'll go with Forest Warden Chief Richard Klein. We'll go with that today. Okay, calling in on Zoom, we have iBerkshire's reporter Jack Marino, and also the Town of Adams Board of Health Chair, Dr. Rose.
We also have Ms. Catherine Foster and Mr. Mark Blaisdell as well.
Okay, thank you. I believe that covers everyone in the room and everyone on Zoom, correct?
As of now, yes.
As of the start of this meeting. Okay, thank you. We have 2 items this evening for this workshop. The first one is discussion and review of ATV purchase request. Again, our chief, Forest Warden Chief Decliner is here. Jay, I'm going to start with you. You can just give us an overview. I know we touched on this at the last Board of Selectmen's meeting, but if you can give us an overview again, and then we'll go from there.
So as everybody knows, there was a fairly significant wildlands fire in the North Adams, Clarksburg State Forest area 2 weeks ago, Dick, now? 2 weeks ago. Our wildlands fire department was deployed. Dick mobilized his staff and attempted to get up the mountain using what we have as an ATV, all-terrain vehicle. The all-terrain vehicle is used in order to get personnel and equipment up to the location of the fire, and the vehicle failed while our volunteers were en route to do that. Dick reported out that the existing ATV is approximately 30 years old. It is also mechanically obsolete. It's difficult to find parts for. And in fact, the local ATV supplier is somewhat hesitant to even work on it due to age. So Dick approached me with a request to replace the vehicle. He presented to the board last week at its meeting. That was the general review at that time of what happened with the ATV. He's here tonight to discuss the results of his research and the options that we have to move forward to replace the vehicle.
Okay, Dick, the floor is yours. I know you, high level, you went over some of this information, but now we have this information in front of us. The board was in our packet. So if you could just please go over that, any of the highlights if you'd like to again.
Okay. Also, things changed slightly. I'm still interested in the Ranger 1000, which you have in front of you. For, I don't know how many reasons. It seats 3. and it has a little dump body in the back. So I can carry 3 people plus equipment, supplies, whatever I need to get into the fire. With the vehicle I have now, I can't do that. Looking at the specs on, and I've got specs on other ones. It just seems to fit the bill. It's got 61 horsepower engine, 4-stroke gas, liquid cooled. The box capacity on the vehicle is 1,000 pounds. It's got a fuel tank of 11.35 gallons, which is a little bit bigger, lasts a little bit longer. Ground clearance is 12.5 inches, which is a decent ground clearance. And I don't know, that's probably just about it on this. When I went down to Ronnie's Sales and Service, I talked to them down there. Gave me a deal on the vehicle. And he gave me a deal for the roof. The roof retails for $380. I got the roof for $260. So the total for the vehicle came to 448 plus 260 for the top. And in doing this, I've got other quotes from Southside Sales, and I've got a quote from the Kubota dealership over the mountain. The Kubota is just like a little too much. It's quite a bit, overall length is higher. It has a hydraulic dump bed. I don't need a hydraulic dump bed. That one also sits 3, I believe. I just did not feel that that was the right move, because for service anyway, I'd have to go over to the mountain to service it. I have a service dealer just down the road. To me, it makes more sense. Plus, it's a local business. When I was researching this vehicle, I thought nothing about how am I going to transport it. I have a trailer. My trailer is 4x8. The vehicle I have now just about fits on it. The new vehicle, any of them, will not fit on this trailer. So fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I went down to see if I can get a trailer for it. I can get a trailer for it. The trailer's 10 feet long and 72 inches wide on the inside, and it's 10 feet long on the inside, which will fit this vehicle or probably any other vehicles that I would have looked at. Trailer retailed for $3,030. He told me I could have it for $2,800. So I just got the price on the trailer. So totaling up everything at $16,508 I'd be looking for. And it's unfortunate that the trailer didn't work. The trailer that I have now came through a MEMA grant. The town didn't pay for it. It was a grant through MEMA. I would really not like to give up that trailer, even if I store it outside. When I bought the trailer, the purpose was for the quad that I have now, plus transportation of emergency supply equipment. If we had to move it from Memorial School to anywhere else, I would use that trailer to move it. In fact, is when we started this thing, the first couple loads of emergency supply equipment that went up to Memorial was transported on that trailer up there. So that trailer, I feel, and it's not up to me, but I feel should stay either with the town, either with the highway, store it outside somewhere, in case it's needed, either place could use it. This trailer for mine is aluminum. I was told it's not gonna rust. I guess, that's about all I got to say. I don't know what else to say.
That's fine, no, that's good information. So Jay, the role of the board, in this process is that since the budget's already been approved by the board of selectmen, the finance committee has recommended it for town meeting, that this will not be part of that budget process, correct?
Yes.
And there's no money put aside for purchase of the vehicle,
Correct.
trailer, accessories, and whatever else is involved with this. So the board can review this. They have a couple options where they can either say, we just can't afford it, whatever it may be, or we can go to town meeting for this fiscal year.
Finance committee.
Oh, sorry, not town. Finance committee for this fiscal year, like we've done in the past, and
Yes.
request funding.
Need a reserve fund.
Vehicle from the reserve fund, which is $175,000 to start, and we've reduced it on a couple of requests already.
Down to 135, one single request in order to complete the ADA accessibility project at the registry building.
Right.
So it's the balance right now is at 135. That is what's been published in the pending warrant. Mr. Burdick at a finance committee meeting would simply, take note that on the town meeting floor, that warrant article would just be amended to reflect any reduction should the board and should the finance committee decide to access it.
Okay. All right, what we do now is I'm gonna open up to the board of selectmen for questions about the process or about the vehicle itself, or about the current vehicle we have. I'll start to my right with Joe.
Yeah, I have a few questions. Now, when you went down, did you talk personally to Ronnie?
No, I did not. I talked to the sales manager.
Yeah, I wish you had a chance to talk to Ronnie because he's the person that can make the deals and he's pretty good with the community and things.
The second time I went down to look at the trailer, he was there when I was talking to the sales manager. He was listening to me,
Yeah.
but he did not say, other than hi, because I know him.
Yeah,
And that was it. Whether these numbers will change, if in fact he finds out about it, I don't know.
Nick, did you also say they took money off already?
Yeah, they did. They took money off already. Polaris, it comes through Polaris. Polaris gives the dealership $2,000 off the vehicle because it's purchased for a municipality for a fire service vehicle. So that was reduced. The original cost by $2,000 originally.
Okay. Joe?
yeah. Also too, I went online and I like to find out about the machine and it seems like a good machine, but there was some problem with new ownership that the reverse was kind of cranky. That the reverse in it, it was it built up and then when you put it in reverse, it would stall. It took a while for that to work its way out. Just what I went online and I watched a video and other people confirmed that. It's probably something that they may know about, they may not know about. Also, I was wondering, now, is there any grants out there like from the Mass Fire or the state of Massachusetts, the district DCR or anything for grants for that type of thing? Because I know that they give out monies for those type of things. I know they gave money to the snow drifters to get a brand new brand new groomer. So, I think there's perhaps money out there. I don't know what the cycle is now for putting application grants in, but there's a possibility that something like that, and I don't know right at this point how bad you need it and when you need it. But, some of that probably should have been looked into, because there is a possibility that, you know, you might be able to get funding for it. I mean, if they can get a groomer for nothing, and you being a municipality, there's a good chance to at least take a look at it. And if you relay all the information that you've relayed to the selectmen about the situation, and, you know, you can bring things up, you know, the fire in Clarksburg, and, you know, they're aware of it because DCR members were there fighting it. Matter of fact, I guess the chief for the whole state was there also. So, that's, I think, kind of an also a possibility that you might want to look into.
I applied for DCR grants. The maximum DCR grant that I can receive is $2,500. That's a matching grant. So my match has to be service. I have to show them that my people get paid so much an hour to do training, to do CPR classes, you know, and I have that ready to go there. I put in for this grant a while ago. It's the state. They're moving really slow. I haven't got an answer yet. I've got an answer that, yeah, you're probably gonna get it, but nothing definite. So I'm waiting on that grant.
See, that's when our state rep and state senator would come in handy. If you could call either John Barrett or Adam Hines and, you know, tell them the situation, they can push it forward much quicker. Because I think that you in the town, we can show need pretty easily, particularly when you're using a vehicle 30 years old and, you know, a manual transmission. I mean, those things are obsolete. And I'll just state one other thing, and perhaps I'll have other questions, but should you get a new vehicle like that, I would suggest that, I know it's like a new toy. Everybody is going to want to drive to everybody, because when I worked at Mohawk, we got a new similar, I forgot the brand, you know, but all the seasonal kids wanted to play with it, and, you know, so you have to be very careful with that, you know, and give them a, you know, responsibility to particular people who you trust with it. And because it doesn't take much to kind of, you know, maybe it will bring morale a little bit down because everybody will want to drive it. So in short, that's just what I have to say. You really have to be careful with the users of it, because once again, you get too many people using it, then you may, you know, have a little push and pull. Well, I'm driving it today and you drove it last time, but that kind of thing. So that's all I have to say, because
I have 3 or 4 people that are allowed to drive it. That's the
Yeah.
only ones that are allowed to drive the one I have now.
Yeah,
Okay, nobody else can drive it. As far as the other vehicle, right now it will not start. Okay. When you turn the key on, the neutral light goes on, indicating it should be in a neutral gear.
Yeah.
You can put it in any gear you want, that neutral light stays on, so it doesn't have to be in neutral, it can be in first, second, reverse, that neutral light is on. So you really don't know where you are
yeah.
by doing that.
No, that's electrical problems.
And the overheating light
Yeah.
comes on, goes off. When we're fighting fire at the mountain, stopped running, the heat light came on, could not start it. So he had it coasted down the mountain, across the road over to our staging area to get it on there and push it on the vehicle. That's not a reliable vehicle. It's not somebody I want on it. Someone's gonna get hurt on it because of these things that are happening with it. So I feel after 30 years, I would kind of like to replace this with something that's reliable and is more suited to do the job that we need it to suit by carrying other personnel and equipment.
Okay, thank you, Dick.
Okay, Joe?
Christine?
Dick, first off, last week you mentioned that one of the members of your team ended up ill because the vehicle wasn't working. So how is that member of your team?
He's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't
there's,
Like an emergency, yeah, it was something, but not
no,
anything that was, hospitalization or anything. No, it
anything
was.
that takes him off the mountain and away from that,
Well, he's not going to be
Still.
doing that job because he did get shortness of breath.
Yeah.
So we had to take the backpack off him, put him on the quad at that time, and bring him back down. He sat down, he had some water, 15 minutes. He was fine.
now I just, thank you for doing the research. The 16.5 seems reasonable for a trailer, the roof, the, quad itself. But I did want to just make mention that in the fleet schedule, this one is 32 years old and you have a number of vehicles that are older, and it might be something worth talking about next year during budget discussion. If there are, as Joe mentioned, if there are any grants that are available, or if there's some way to maybe upgrade some of your fleet here, looking at 1980, 1993, 1999, those are some really good years, but I don't know if they're great years for the vehicles that are fighting some fires. So just maybe we can have that conversation next year about needs and if there's a way to find it.
Well, we try to fix and repair the best that we can.
I know that you do. And after 32 years, I think it's time to replace the one that's not working.
Thank you.
We did upgrade, we went from 75 to an 86, so that's at least
I don't remember.
slightly.
And that, just to mention it, that truck worked great.
These pictures are great.
We were feeding Gadam's ladder truck with our pumper. 1986 feeding a ladder truck with no problem, so I feel very happy about that.
Howard,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Howard.
Christine had brought up, I think, an important point about the overall fleet. So when we were fighting this fire, we do it with other communities, correct? So
Mutual aid.
mutual aid, is there an overriding strategy so that we have the proper equipment for the region so that everybody doesn't have to make similar investments? Because if we're gonna all fight fires together with climate change and potentially more of these, are we prepared for?
I think a lot of communities have tankers, only because they don't have a water source.
Right.
The outlying smaller communities all have tankers.
Mhm.
And they have to use them, of course. At the fire down here, the Northern Berkshire Task Force tanker shuttles, so they got all the tankers from around the areas. Not all of them made it. I know one that broke down that couldn't make it, so I'm sure that their vehicles are old because nobody has any money to expend that. As far as engines or brush trucks, I think a lot of the communities will buy a pickup truck chassis, and then they can get a skid mount that goes on it. And that's what they'll do for their brush truck. They might have a 200-gallon water tank with some 1.5-inch line on there and some hand tools. They outfit the truck, and that's their brush truck. Which basically, that's what I have now for a brush truck. But that brush truck was free. It was given to the Forest Department. We just adapted it for our purpose, but it's 4-wheel drive, 200 gallons of water, we got on it, working on making it run. But it's a good sized vehicle for that. We had the pumper, the 1975 pumper, which was a 4-wheel drive. At that time, I believe I was a member when Mr. Anthony bought that. We went up to Bill's Six, Vermont, that's where it was built at that time, to look at it. It's 4-wheel drive, basically a department like mine or another town, Florida Mountain, or Clarksburg, or Williamstown. They have a forest warden department, but it's like all one. So they can pick the vehicles they want to use there. And they might have a 4-wheel drive, and I know Williamstown does, and I know Florida Mountain has, but they're everybody kind of builds these things because there's no money to go out and spend $190,000 on a brush truck. I mean, that's a lot of money. And it doesn't always get used all the time, but yeah, you need it, you know? Nothing else can get to where we are. We live in the mountains here. You know, it just is what it is.
Anything else, Howard?
No, thanks. Thank you.
Rick?
Do you know how long the bed is? Is it a 4 foot? Maybe 6 with the
The
tailgate?
bed,
Yeah.
hang on a second.
36 by 75 long, 54 by 25 wide, 12 and a half inches high. 1,000 pound capacity.
That's for the box. The payload capacity is 2,070 pounds.
And would it,
The, I'm trying to find out where it says for that, box capacity. It gives me an overall length, that's all. The overall length of the vehicle is 120 inches. And it's 62 inches, 62 and a half inches wide and 76 inches high.
yeah, I'm just thinking, is it, with the tailgate down, if a stove could fit in it? And it looks most likely like it would, because it'd be the 54 and then 12 inches.
Yeah, that's the box. The box dimension is 36 3/4 by 54 1/4. The trailer, I think that's with this trailer, the vehicle, when it goes in there and gate, you know, the gate goes up, the unloading gate goes up, it'll probably be right against the vehicle like the one that is now. This one's a little wider. Would I stick a spokes on the side of it? Yeah, but I got a spokes on my brush truck. I have all that equipment on my brush truck. I can lay it across the bed of this vehicle and bring the spokes up.
What I'm thinking though is with the Glen, all the trails opening up and with developing that, the amount of hikers that are gonna be up on those trails, you're probably not gonna get your brush truck up through there. Whereas this, throw the spokes in the back, configured so the spokes can go safely in the back to go up to get somebody. I remember the Great Lock Ramble, the search and rescues. And a lot of that was on foot until I think they got one 4-wheeler. And that was, I think, somebody's personal one that they brought down.
I have a lot of people that bring their personal wheelers in when they hear what's going on. I kind of choose who I want to go, where they have to go, because I don't want 8 wheelers wheeling up the mountain. So there are some that call me all the time. One is an EMT, she has one, and then a friend that she is with works for the sheriff's department, she has one. And they always come. They'll call me with me. If I say yes, they'll come. Those people, I don't have a problem. If I call Florida Fire frequently for theirs, they have a rig that they can hook on the back of the wheeler and pull up the mountain. It's a built-in stokes. It's a retrievable vehicle. You can put somebody on that and just bring it back down. I call it out. Through a grant I have now from MEMA, I'm going to be purchasing it's not a vehicle because it's not motorized, but it's a unit that has a kind of like a structure built into it, and you can pull it. It's got wheels. So if it isn't too bad, somebody could even hold it. You can pull this thing up. I was planning to get one that was motorized. That deal kind of fell through because the person, it was gonna be fabricated at the time, but he just didn't have the time to do it. He says, hang on, maybe I might still end up with it, and that would be like free. because these things are worth, $4,000. So if it comes to fruition that this happens, then I'll have that also. Trying to get equipment to meet the needs now at present, because they have changed a lot from the past. Just everything has changed. So my goal is to work through both emergency management and the forest warden department. I get what I can from both. Can use it for both, so it's okay.
Watching.
Select board meeting.
We make sure everyone's muted, please.
Anything else, Rick?
Yeah, the windshield. Now, I know with the Polaris, I looked at one about 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, it was like $16,000. That's why I don't have one. But you could buy the cab individually. You could buy the roof this year. Next year, you can get a windshield. You could buy doors. You could totally close the cab, whatever it is you need. Any plans on getting a windshield?
I don't know. Sometimes they're good. I would hate to get a windshield and go through some low hanging things and the tree come in and snap it and smash my windshield. Yeah, you just smash a guy in the face. I suppose you could. Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to it. Right now, I didn't put it in there. I try to get something with a roof, and that's all said I'll deal with. Down the line, yeah, I could do that. Down the line, I want to get a winch for the front of it. Everybody told me, get one, get a winch. Down the line, I'll get a winch. Put the winch on it. I'm gonna outfit it with a mobile radio. Okay? I budget this year, I'm gonna transfer some line items, so I can get the mobile radio, the weatherproof box, the antenna, blah, 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 something goes with it. Have it installed and everything. Got a price on that. Went back to my headquarters, lo and behold, I have a 4-channel program, 4-channel radio that can be programmed to 4 frequencies. And I have it, so I canceled the other order and said, we'll program this one and put this one in. Still have to buy the box, the antennas and everything, but that radio was $800, so I just kind of said, no, I'll use this radio and I'll have the installation done and everything, but it's like I said, we try to work with what we got, the radio's old, but if it works, it's fine, Gonna be up in the woods, it's a 45-watt radio, you can't use a portable up in the woods, 5 watt doesn't get through. You need something a little bit more on, so that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
Anything else, Rick?
Just this department, they're cheap for the town. I know a lot of their vehicles were fabricated. I remember going one winter to pick up an old Deuce and a half from some salvage place. No heat, barely made it. And that turned into the first hand. That has since been replaced. But
Yeah, we had some fun stuff with that, an old oil tank we got, put it on a chassis, put a baffle in it, that was our tanker.
and painted Smokey Bear on the side.
Yes. Yes.
But all in all, if you look back on the budgets, it's been very cheap. Very rarely do they come to us for a big equipment issue. And I think with the development of the Glen and the hopefully draw of people on that mountain, it may be necessary to buy something that you can take people off the mountain with. And yet other departments might have it, but you really don't want to wait for an hour for another department to get here with a piece of equipment. Is now, maybe a small fire is now a much bigger fire. And I can remember going to it was grass fire or brush fire. Maybe a quarter mile up, strap on an idiot pump and running up the mountain, and I got there, I was useless, couldn't do nothing for a little while, because couldn't breathe, nothing. I was young and in shape.
Everybody
No
feels the
offense to
same
the
way,
guy.
because you're in shape. You gotta walk a mile so far with that thing on your back?
No offense to some of the guys, they're not in that great shape. But, yeah, so personally, I'm in favor of this, moving it forward.
Okay. Any redos, Joe?
Yeah, just quickly, as I think Howard mentioned, a meeting before and Richard brought it up about the impending Graylock Glen. I want to assure you right now that there are so many hikers up there because I hike the mountain frequently and you go up there and those parking lots are completely full. Cars are going up the sides of the roads and things. So the people are already there. But an ATV can help you, but it can't get you to everywhere you want to go. And that's the thing that you're gonna have to, put to your people that, if you're doubting getting to point B from A, stop. Don't continue up a rocky area where you might get yourself in trouble. So that's where common sense will play a big part in it. And going back to the fleet of trucks with the age, I've said this before, trucks or any type of equipment that gets old and isn't used very much, you have to start having problems with your seals, you start having problems with gaskets, with rusting with your brake shoes. So that comes with age. I know you guys go out every Tuesday, but that's, so as been mentioned by others, it may be time to look at the fleet and grant wise or something to give you some leeway time to look into possible ways of funding sources.
I agree. We use those vehicles as much as we can, especially in the spring, summer, and fall.
They're getting a lot of use with the parades. I see them go by there.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Plus, it gives a chance to a seasoned driver to be with a not seasoned driver to get them to learn how to drive the trucks and turn. So, I mean, it's been very good for them.
That was one of the advantages to, Dick explained, I put him through the ringer when we replaced truck one, to make sure that, we gave Ward a really sharp, a really smart option. And, Dick explained, I look at it from a mechanical standpoint, he has a 75 Ford, we can repair that. But as Dick explained, I got a younger group of guys that don't know how to drive me. So that 86 with an automatic and talking with some of the wards, over the past year, they love that truck. And I can also tell you in terms of quality of investment, it's a volunteer department. It's a department that you don't need until you need them. But watching the pride that Dick and his guys have, and his gals have, with truck one, stenciling it up, town of Adams. When Selectman Bush died, we had it out front. We had it for Officer Evans and the parades. They take such pride in the equipment that I feel confident as your administrator to tell you that even though they're volunteers, they're going to take incredible pride in whatever we choose to buy them. So it's a smart investment. They care about the equipment. And they've done a lot as volunteers for the town between vaccination clinics and everything so far. So that's where I come, from this. And Joe's absolutely right in terms of, trying to pinpoint a need with a grant. Dick and I had that conversation. It's hard. We have a structural fire department in town. So they have the master grant number for fire equipment. So it's, it's hard to do that. But I hope as we go on with more publicity that we get through the department, we can certainly replace the fleet as we go. It has to be done piecemeal. But I also look forward to bringing everybody over to the, once all our restrictions and bring everybody over to the warden's headquarters and see the pride that they have in the equipment.
Yeah, just go ahead, Rick.
I was just saying, is there room in the garage for that on a trailer?
That's gonna be close. We have the trailer now. I probably got maybe a foot in the front, because our tanker backs up there to the tongue of the trailer, and I might have a foot in the back, because that backs up to the stairs that go upstairs.
That blower's still in the back bay, leaf blower, DPW, leaf blower's still in the back, we'll work that out.
That's a sore subject
Yeah,
for us down there,
we'll address
so I don't want to get into that, but they can get in there, and if I have to park the trailer outside and just put the vehicle inside, I'll do that.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to have it already loaded
Yes, it
on the
would.
trailer and
We do what we can.
hop it and go.
Well, something in that back bay might be a good brand new piece of equipment,
Back there,
slow at the back bay, open the door, tell them go. We'll work that out.
Yeah,
That's easy.
we're working on it.
Any other member questions?
Just the last question, were there any of the old state power wagons up there fighting the fire? Well, I tell you, I used to drive those, and boy, you have to double clutch, those are tough vehicles to
They
drive.
are good vehicles.
Yeah.
I wish I had one of those.
Yeah.
They have one up Savoy.
Yes, they do, yeah. Boy, those were tough to drive, but they were dogs,
They could
get you
fly.
where you wanted.
Yeah.
Guys all set?
Yes.
Christine? Okay.
I'm happy to make a motion.
Well, I think we can. We need to bring this to the next meeting. And then we'll have an official vote at the next meeting.
Yeah, the consensus of the board is they'd like to see it at the next full meeting, we'll do that. We'll get the paperwork ready to go, and then we'll set up a meeting on how that vote goes. We'll do a presentation with the finance committee. I think maybe, again, with the restrictions, John, I can talk to you about even maybe a special meeting that we do with both the board and the finance committee. In one shot at the headquarters, like we did for the pumper, we'll work that out.
Like to have the opportunity for the finance committee members and the board to at least look at the current.
Yeah, it's
Model.
good to
Maybe a difference in some decision making. They see the current one, we can go over the issues. with it. Okay, and also, I know grants are hard to come by, because of the reasons you explained, but always keep that back in mind over the next week or so. So anyway, we can do some kind of grant, but anyway, that's always the wish. Okay, so I think we're good. We're moving to the next public meeting for a actual vote to move it up to the finance committee.
Okay.
That's a consensus, no guarantees.
Yeah, right, good sense. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the second agenda item. Under new business discussion on liaison and committee assignments. I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that the town administrator kind of took a cut at it to try to align subcommittees with the way the town functions. And he talked to me about that a while ago. And I started finding it now. Yeah. So if you look at the board subcommittee and the liaison assignments that we've had from last year, and you see the subcommittees on the left. I'm just gonna go down through and see, this is again from Jack, just told the board that you had some ideas that you brought forward.
I have lots of ideas. Some good, some.
So subcommittee ideas, just to align the way the town operates, all right? The top one, the alternative green energy would be removed, the budget finance would remain, which would include the accounting, treasury, and the assessors, are really working with those three area departments. Capital planning would be removed. The downtown and economic development would line up with the community development, economic development, planning, land use, planning board, things like that, trying to line everything up. The Grillock Glen, that would stay, and that subcommittee will become more important as we move forward here. legislative would be removed. In regards to licenses, permits and fees, I think we just kept that the same because that's really, the alcohol licenses. There's also, we have a few fees that we approve, throughout the year. Personnel would remain the same. The public works DBW, we kind of grouped things together. For example, public facilities subcommittee would be all buildings, parks, cemeteries, transfer station, water, sewer, etc. Also, public safety would be fire, police, emergency management, inspectional services, in regards to the building inspector, I believe. Shared services regionalization would be gone. Strategic planning would be gone, but would be included on the economic community or community development. Youth programs pretty much would be removed. So just sticking with the subcommittees right now, we have, Jay and I just talking in line with what we have. So we have, the subcommittees would cover every board we have in town, every, way a town works, try to align everything up together. Personnel would stay, that's an important one. The finance budget, again, the accounting office, the treasury office, and the assessor's office would be with that finance budget subcommittee. The licensing permitting fees would remain relatively the same. The public facilities, as I've indicated, all buildings, et cetera, including Memorial School. Now that ad hoc Memorial School subcommittee would no longer be used. It would be pulled under the public facilities subcommittee, because I think we're heading that way anyway. So we've had that subcommittee, the ad hoc subcommittee, for a few years, several years now. And I think we're getting to the goal. So I'm trying to probably put that one to bed. Public safety, again, fire, police, emergency management, whatever. Health and Human Services, sorry, I didn't bring this one up. The Health and Human Services would be the Board of Health, the library, the COA, the Veteran Services in those areas, and community development, several areas for that subcommittee. So this is Jay's input, and I looked it over today. I think it's good to have us aligning up 2 members per subcommittee, and we align up the way the town is governed, by boards and by administrator and by people that work for this town. And so those are the 5. Now, again, we're not going to approve all these this evening. These again need to go to a full meeting. And is there any issue with the way that we set up the subcommittees? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and really want Jay and his team to use our subcommittees. I'd like to see a lot of what happens in the subcommittees that be brought forward to the board. Oh, we also have the Glen.
Yeah, there's a total of 8 by mine.
Right, with the Glen.
Yep.
So we're going to keep that as become very important.
Okay, have a copy of the new proposed.
No, it really was just, we'll get that out to you. It's really, because the board, that's probably might be a good way to go and get it out to you guys, email it out.
Again, if you have that consensus tonight, if that's something we can type it up.
Yeah.
Tonight, just a discussion with John about moving forward with a tighter grouping. More broad, tighter grouping, fewer committees, but a broader scope.
Christine? Are you done?
Yeah, that's fine.
I thought you were gonna say something else, so I was waiting. No, I was actually thinking, because there's 14 subcommittees and ad hoc committees that have been here, and I'm just trying to narrow that down. And so I actually was looking, it looks like Jay, you may be looking at the same thing. But I was looking at the MMA Selectmen's Handbook, which our Board of Selectmen handbook mirrors how this is laid out. Before I joined the board, you all kind of looked at the handbook and you had all of the different sections, but in the handbook that we all just received, there are, financial management, human resources, public safety, land use, community development, public works and parks, health and human services. Like those are all responsibilities really that fall with the Board of Selectmen. So it makes sense to align some subcommittees along those lines, which is, I think, John, what you just mentioned. What I would like to see is the subcommittee structure is currently in the Board of Selectmen's handbook for the town of Adams in the back section. And some of them have descriptions, some of them don't. So like, what I would like to see is a proposed new structure that has some substance with each of those subcommittees listed. Like, I think you started talking about like the budget, finance, whatever that one was, had like the assessor and other offices involved. But if there's a description that talks about what that subcommittee makeup is, that would be really good to see that on paper. And then because it is currently in our town of Adams Selectmen's handbook that we haven't touched, my fault for that for the last 2 years. But if it is in that handbook and our subcommittee structure is in there, somebody can tell me if I'm wrong, but it would have to come before the board twice before we can adopt the subcommittee structure based on the policy in the first section of the handbook where we've asked for all that to be reviewed twice at public meetings. I'm looking to you, Rick, because you usually bring that up and tell me if that's what we need to do. So I'm looking at you to tell me if that's right or wrong.
I know we're supposed to review the personnel handbook every year.
Every year.
Yeah.
And the last time I remember, I think was when Joe and I first came on the board.
Yeah, it was a while
But
back.
anything that changes in the handbook, even though there's not a lot in there, we have to review it twice.
Right, that's
Before we
a
can adopt
newer thing that came up. I think when John was chair, we adopted that.
Okay. It was in that first section about administration and like how we operate.
I just feel that we need to move forward as soon as we can to get these identified. Maybe it's at a temporary, whatever it may be, but then we should get to that selectmen's handbook, which needs a heck of a lot of work, but I don't want to hold up people, board members from really getting out there and start doing their work until we have 2 readings of a handbook that is so outdated.
Well, it wouldn't be the full handbook, it would just be that section. So it would just be the subcommittees.
I kind of chuckle when you say the full handbook,
I know, it's,
because
there's not much to
there's
it.
80 sections and there's only stuff written for like 10.
But I know anytime we change like a word in a certain section, like we've had to bring that particular section to the board twice.
So it's one.
So I'm just
section.
saying it would just be the subcommittees we would have to see twice before fully adopted. Is how I'm interpreting that from past experience and what the handbook states.
So are you volunteering to do that, to do a write-up that the board can review? All
Sure.
right,
Okay,
is that okay?
yes, it's fine.
All right, so, okay, so we can go that route, but it's gotta happen in the next 2 meetings,
Okay.
in my opinion. I think we just gotta start.
Now, I'd just like to add to that, Christine, I'm more than willing to work with you on this.
Thank you.
I think each subcommittee that we establish needs to have a mission.
Yes.
Okay, so that it's clear why we're on it, what the purpose of it is, so that when we get a discussion, we can keep everybody on the same page. And it gives us a strategic direction to go. So I really.
I think that's the way to do committees, but the time that it takes to do those.
Well, we can have a pro forma
Yeah,
mission statement that can be worked out as a subcommittee.
I think over time,
Okay.
because I just know.
No, I hear you.
The 3 of us, we've been here a long time and things don't happen that quickly, so.
Christine,
But I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, I'd like to say too, I think that that's a good idea, but once again, it puts a lot of constraint on, I'm glad Christine's willing to do it and power to help out, but I've said this for so many years, we're way behind on our charter. We never had a master plan. We started, I forget what it was, open space plan. We came to the last chapter, never finished it officially. So it's time consuming, that type of stuff. And, you know, maybe with a new planner coming on, but I think it's very important to update, particularly our charter. It is kind of way passe. But once again, it's a time constraint and it takes away from other pressing business. So you gotta find a way to be able to put it into the fold without doing damage to things that are going on. So it's quite a balancing act.
Need a subcommittee to discuss this.
Yeah.
John, are you looking to finalize the agenda for next Wednesday by the end of the day tomorrow? With Memorial Day on Monday?
Yes, of course.
Oh, it's already posted for next Wednesday? Okay, and subcommittees is enough.
But
I'm gonna amend it next week. Okay. I was just wondering a deadline.
well, yeah,
I can work.
I think the names we can assign, I think there's a meeting that's coming up, isn't it, that? What you guys are gonna do, right? Right. So I think we get the names assigned and then we can get moving and then continue to work. Right. So I know, you know, every year it's kind of a difficult situation to, you know, everybody wants different types of subcommittees here. So what I'm going to do is for the, and no one has any issue with it, the Glen subcommittee is gonna be Joe. And I'll be the second person unless somebody else wants it, but Joe will be the Glen sub. I'm just going through a couple
What
subcommittees.
I'd like to ask now
Yeah.
is the Glen all of a sudden going to be a subcommittee instead of ad hoc?
Yes,
Okay,
it's going to be.
well, if I'm overseeing it, be prepared for a lot of meetings. We've got a lot of things to do and I've been writing things down. There's a lot that we have to accomplish in a short time to make that a success.
Because you're running it, the town instead of a commission or something, so that's why.
So in the past, I looked at it as an ad hoc committee. So now we're regrouping and calling it a subcommittee.
Right, he used to work with, our administrator, with the community development director, and whoever else may be to get that, make it happen.
Well,
All right, if he writes a lot to it, that's why it's.
so, you know, if I call meetings and things, I hope you're able to attend because there's gonna be a lot of them and they'll be coming quick.
Maybe I'll think about that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Okay, I agree, Joe, and just work with town administrators,
Yeah.
set up your meetings, and yeah, definitely, if we have to, here we are, right, it's a great thing, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'll know. Personnel, I don't know if there's a better way to do this, I'll just go down the list, who wants to give me like your first choice? To me, I don't care, you know. So Joe's there's gonna be two members per subcommittee, but for the Glen, Joe is, that's, I would imagine, first choice. Personnel,
I'm happy to stay on it.
Christine on that one, that's her first choice. Finance, budget, accounting. I'll take that one, it doesn't matter to me, Duval's will be on that one.
I'll do that, too.
Well, yeah, I'll come around the second time, I'm doing I just wanna make sure everybody gets their licensing permitting fees. Rick, that's a good one for you, right? Stay on that one. Public facilities, all buildings, parks, cemeteries, transfer station, water, sewer. Howard, is that something you want, or go wait till the next one? Okay, public safety, fire, police.
Where's community development?
That's at the last one. Yeah, okay. So is community development
Yes.
something that's your first choice? Okay, that will be Howard's first choices on that one. Okay, so I think we covered everybody the first time, right?
You said the public safety. Stay on that too.
Okay, so second time around, public safety, fire, police. So Rick would like to stay on that.
Health and Human Services.
Oh, yeah, and health and human services, which is Board of Health, library, COA, veteran services, things like that. Does anyone have any interest in that one? Because we don't have that yet.
Yeah, the problem with that one is the meeting times for several groups. Board of Health, Prudential Committee, they meet at like 4 o'clock. No way I can make those.
It's the Board of Health. I want to be the liaison. That's a whole different category, right? The liaison.
You want to explain your theory with the liaisons?
Yeah, my thought liaisons, that would be reduced big time for liaisons, and we would cover everything in our subcommittees. We just have.
Subcommittees essentially being the liaisons.
Would be the
Which
liaisons,
is-
both individuals are the liaisons to those, to what we have here.
So you're on, conversation's sake, you're on Health and Human Services, which substantive matter is Council on Aging, Library, Veteran Services, Health Issues.
Yeah.
You're the liaison to any of those groups,
I'm on board.
including Board of Health, on the health-related stuff.
Okay.
There's a fine line between the health initiatives that a Board of Health undertakes and some of the public safety code enforcement components that's not really health related as much as public safety. But I think your interest, Howard, based on from my conversations with you, that's a.
Okay, Christine, what's your second choice? I'll go with Joe, and I'll do my,
The financial,
that'll be in the budget.
Yeah.
Joe, do you have a second choice?
I'll just give you my choices. I'd like to continue on being a liaison for the Conservation Commission. I'd also like the Historical Commission for a liaison. I don't care if I'm the lead or not.
We didn't put that on the historical commission, right? Okay.
And what are we doing, Jay, with our green community? Are we still using those, trying to get grants for the green community?
Yeah, I would see that living kind of in the public facilities realm.
Okay,
You know, public facilities is gonna take a look at that. Like at some point, I'll have to have the library boiler conversation. Visitor center, HVAC system. So public facilities kind of broad, but it would have that's where it would live there. Of course, some of that library, there's some bleed over because you want the trustees to be involved too, and that's on the human services side. So,
okay. Yeah, I don't want to, overdo myself, but the other one I'm interested in, and I don't care if I'm the lead or not, is the Parks Commission.
Okay.
And other than that, I'm not going to step on anybody's feet. They can be what they want to be.
Okay, Joe, Park Commission. Public, okay. Okay, I'd like to stay on the public safety with fire, police, emergency management, special services, Okay, Christine, we'll go back this way now. Joe's given his inputs. What else would you like to be part of?
I'd like to stay with the licensing and permitting.
Okay, you work with him now. Rick, so you have two, is there anything else?
I guess, the building one is fine, public buildings and.
Okay.
Is that would kind of tie in with memorial?
Right. Okay, Howard, you have two, you have community service, you have health and human services.
When it says et cetera, what else am I signing for?
I think that's what the mission statements will be.
Okay.
So I'll give you one more.
We don't have a Zoom here.
So we have, Glenn's taken, the finance budget's good, the licensing permit's done, public facilities, that's Rick. Public safety is Rick and Duval. Health and human services, we have Howard.
you need someone else for personnel.
Okay.
Want that one, Howard?
Well, I want to have something to do with the finance, because I want to work with Chris on, we talked about the management metric, system. That could maybe be outside, but I'm happy to, where do you think the greatest is?
Personnel, something to do about, I've done it for years.
You can always do whatever in your selectmen, you can always involve yourself where you see fit, but.
Okay, so put me in personnel.
Personnel.
Okay.
I haven't heard any discussion about the schools.
Yeah, that'll become,
Okay. Okay.
Yep. And, the community development, I'd like to work with you, Howard.
Yep.
So how's it look? We're in all these, I gotta
So
work.
we need Public facilities and health and human services, we need a second person,
Public facilities, we have
just for me.
just Rick. I'll be, myself, I don't know if you wanna.
One man wrecking crew.
That would give you 4.
It's a great group of studio musicians from LA, also record.
So
That would be the 4.
that's your fourth. Proceeding to take public facilities.
Yeah.
And
Because I can't take health and human services.
health and human services, we just have Howard. That's my fourth, unless. Rick, you want that one too, or Steve, but that one would be,
Joe only has the one subcommittee. The one-
but I think, oh, wait, some people think Glenn, but I think Joe, we would probably be a good.
Joe also is gonna end up doing Mohawk Trails liaison too, so he's got that.
Right,
John's talking about subcommittees.
I think I'll have my hands full with Glenn. I think that's gonna consume most of my time,
okay, that's
without a
understood,
doubt.
that's understood,
I guess I can do the health,
which is
just
the,
go look for me at the meetings. At 4 o'clock, I cannot leave.
You know, I think that one in my brainstorming session, like council on aging, library, you know, Holly's got a good board of trustees over there. I don't see that being a lot of topics. Vet services, I kind of envision that at some point being supervised by Erica. So the only 2 that regularly meet that Jim was attending was Board of Health and Council on Aging. It was good, I think, having a board member participate in Council on Aging. So those are the only 2. Howard, you can probably, if a member can't make it, and I'm available, I'm happy to go over. It's just, I'm not always available for those meetings, just based on the ebb and flow of the day, but I'm always happy to go and represent the board and say hi here and people, see me. So we can just put you on.
put that on, Rick will put Rick on there, and that's make it switch, we can switch around.
It's kind of like what, Howard said, ebb and flow of these are, they meet,
Yeah, what's that?
they're standing committees, but they meet when you have something that needs to be shot over. You might go for a period of time where there's nothing
When
cooking,
something pops.
and then all of a sudden, like Ray Lyon Lynn, well, we're gonna be building a building. We got a lot of questions, so that's gonna have work, that's gonna have things that need to be discussed and flushed out.
Okay, so we'll write that up, we'll get it out to everybody for subcommittees and see how it looks. For liaisons, we have a long list here, but we want to do some time because a lot of the subcommittees, I'm sure, we can do that, liaison work through the subcommittees. So for the BRPC, I'll remain as the alternate. The BRTA is one the executive, since that's something you want to continue on. The schools is open and Joe's Mohawk, he's helping well with that. That's making some moves, so I think, so I was really want to put the liaisons down to the BR, which what I do in BRPC, BRTA, schools, and Joe's work with the Mohawk.
Joe also has, I know they don't meet a lot too, but Joe agriculture too, in case something were to
I
come up.
know that, we're losing out on that agriculture, not having, you can get some grants for an agricultural commission. When I was the chairman, we got, we didn't get big grants, but they're up there. And I don't know, I've said in the past, I was gonna try to get people interested, and I've talked to a few people, and they just,
I am.
Barton and the regional, or is where you want BRTA, you want to have the schools or which thing, I want to make sure. You got both last year, so.
I feel like Howard should have the same.
The schools, the regional schools in Canton.
Yeah, and then Barton.
McCann, Martin, Hoosick Valley.
Yeah, 2 districts and a charter school. And then the McCann's fairly self-sufficient, are self-sufficient, Hoosick Valley, because we technically own Plunkett Elementary or Hoosick Valley Elementary, Plunkett Building. That requires a little bit more involvement because of the age of the building, et cetera. That's been my experience.
And what's the relationship with the school committee? We're the liaison with the school committee. I think this is-
So for the last 4 years, I've been a liaison for all of the schools, and I've attended the McCann School Committee meetings as well as the Hoosick Valley School Committee meetings. And as Jay just alluded to, I've also participated in their subcommittees, the school committee, Hoosick Valley Subcommittee, Hoosick Valley School Committee subcommittees, usually with audit and evaluation when it came time to budget and their maintenance. Maintenance meeting, because that does talk about the elementary school, which we just met.
Yeah, I would also, just so full, understanding what's ahead, we had a pretty robust conversation about Hoosick Valley and our budget last year. I would expect some, the superintendent and I are aspirational in the fact that we want to be able to take it during the off-budget development months of the municipal cycle and just talk about the municipal finance versus the school finance, how we can work together to move forward. So I would see that liaison position would be slightly busy with that. Just keep that in mind.
So think about it too, that
Yeah, I'm gonna need to think.
the TA maybe might be better, or we take the schools, or, yes.
Or we could split up the schools, so it's not,
I mean,
I mean, if you wanted to take on Hoosick Valley, or if you want to take on Cannon Park, like we could probably divide it up that way. I know we both have an interest in education, so, and I feel like you haven't had a chance to
yeah.
to speak up and say, oh, no, I want that one, so I'm
Well,
willing to
it's-
do whatever,
it's
Howard.
clear that, what I understand with the planning enrollment, some structural change has to happen. So in that conversation, it has to be well thought out. And there has to be some good collaboration and good communications. That's why I'm interested, is how to look at those strategic issues, so it doesn't become clusterfucks like the right word.
So you're on the police.
Yeah.
I was gonna get a lot of order.
Okay, so,
Wow.
but it's a very important thing, and so that's why, so I'd like, maybe some input about, that's my interest, this may be the committee or may not.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna have those generated, we'll put those all together, and we'll get those out for review. And then we'll go from there, and we'll, I guess we'll preliminary approve them, for now, so we get to work. And then we can have the, selection handbook updated and all that over time. So, okay, I think that, any more discussion on that? All right, last on the agenda is announcements and good of the order. Joe.
Yeah, I had a few things. I got a call from 2 veterans and I just relayed a message, and they're not happy with the way the veteran signs are on the poles because a lot of them are bent in. They feel that they should be more taut so that they're standing firm, because if you do look at them, some of them are bent and, and the veteran said the last time they were put up, they were nice and taut and, and now they're, some of them are like bent and folded a little bit. But so I always bring things up. It's nothing that I noticed, but I brought it up. And also, Monday, I think that we all know that it's Veterans Day, and I think we're invited at 11 o'clock up to the cemetery. Just, there's not going to be a parade or anything, as we well know, but they would like selectmen up at the Maple Street Cemetery at 11. They're going to have a speaker and, the similar things that have gone on over the years up there. They have a guest speaker and so on and so forth.
I talked to former town clerk Hutchinson the other day, and he said, I'm really sorry that we can't do the parade. I said, it's okay, Paul, we know it's minimal time, but he said they'll definitely do a nice, presentation at 11 o'clock. I committed, I'll be there. So I thank him for his efforts to throw something there.
Great. Anything else, Joe?
No, that's it.
Christine?
I'm all set, thank you.
Howard?
I'm good.
Rick?
I have nothing other than I won't be able to be there Monday. I have to work for our, well, sort of commencement, because they technically won't graduate for several weeks after. But it's a faux
Okay.
commencement,
Sorry.
and I'm stuck.
Great new room.
Okay, and I have nothing. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion by Rick, second by
Second.
Christine. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. This meeting is now ended.